Hello and welcome to another video. Today we're gonna go ahead and be doodling in my sketchbook. We're gonna be talking about my OC Eli today. Eli is a character that I haven't really talked about too much because she is part of a story that is separate from all of the other story ideas that I have. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, and I'm always honest. I make these videos and I always feel like I'm always repeating the same turns of phrase. But I guess that's just because I have a very limited vocabulary. Anyway, back to Eli. I don't really talk about her too much because she's in a very separate universe from all of my other OCs. All of the OCs that you guys have seen from me so far are pretty standard, I guess. They're pretty much in like contemporaries. Like, what's his name? Oh my god, I'm blanking so hard. Like Kamau and Cricket and Katsuo and Duke and all those guys, they're all in like a contemporary story and maybe a vampire story, I don't know yet. And then there is my mafia couple OC, Kira and Guy with No Name. They're in a mafia story. It was mostly a romance story, so that's pretty contemporary too. But then I guess I have Hope and all of his friends, and that is really, it is a fantasy story kind of, but it's mostly just like a comedy. So pretty down to earth slice of life, except for the parts where it's not. So when it comes to Eli's story, her story is actually like I wouldn't say an epic, because who writes an epic, right? This is not fucking Beowulf, you know. But it's more like I guess you could say YA fantasy, but it's also kind of dark, which is like weird for me. Anyway, just Eli is supposed to be 14. She's 14 years old. Recently, a couple months ago, her brother died, and that's basically her entire personality right now. And the point where I'm writing the story. I'm trying to get back into writing the story because for a while it was like one of my main stories, and I'm trying to get back into the swing of it now because I feel like I haven't been writing anything, and I want to get back into writing. You guys know that I talk about writing all the time, and I never do it. And so this is me I was just thinking about it on the drive to work, and I was like, I really need to hash out the magic system. I was really struggling with the magic system for her universe because it's not exactly complicated, but I can't really hammer out the details of whether I want it to be a hard or a soft magic system. I really like to lean towards a hard magic system for the story because I feel like those are a little bit easier to deal with, but then they're harder to construct. But I feel like the limitations make it a little bit easier to follow, but it's really hard to make them. I feel like if I just had a soft magic system where it's like magic can do whatever, that's a little bit easier because, you know, you can write magic to like solve issues and stuff, and you can like always have like a Deus Ex Machina and just like pull shit out of your ass with a soft magic system to a certain extent. But it's harder to do that with a hard magic system, and it's like I don't want to pull stuff out of my ass. It feels like a cop out. And so yeah, that's why I don't really talk about Eli too much, just because she's been in like the sort of back burner of my brain for a really long time. I've written several versions of the story. It's gone through like 4 or 5 different iterations at this point, which is not good. It is not good at all. And so this is me putting it out into the ether a little bit, what I want Eli to be like. So Eli is a 14-year-old girl. She lives in a universe where there is magic. As far as I've gotten with the magic system is that there are two different types of magic: light magic and dark magic. And Eli, for her entire life, she thought that she didn't have any magic, right? And so she lived her whole life with her family, who none of them have magic either. They're just like normal people in the world, just like normal people who don't have any magical powers. Her brother dies, and she was very close with her brother, and so after her brother dies, she doesn't exactly shut down. She's more living in this sort of area where she's going through the motions, putting on a strong face for her family. Like, she stepped up because her brother was the oldest sibling, and so she does have an older sibling, like an older sister, but she's like, well, I need to step up and help out with the family like my older brother did, right? She feels like she has to take on that burden, so she's doing that, and eventually she gets to a point where she does actually have a breakdown, because after you are like trying to be strong for a long time and you're just a 14-year-old girl doing your best and your best friend died, right? And so she just kind of have a little bit of breakdown, and so when she has that breakdown, it is revealed that she does have dark magic powers. I think I've talked about her a little bit before, where I mentioned that she is a necromancer. So Eli is revealed to be a necromancer, and so if you have dark magic abilities, that is illegal in this world. They're like, no dark magic. Light magic is allowed, and that's because they're like, I'm trying to think of why. It's actually really hard to build a magic system. Right now, I've kind of come up with the idea that I want it to be tied to morality. Like, oh, it seemed like you have dark magic, like you have like a bad soul, like you're a bad person, like type thing. And it would have like very heavily like religious connotations, because I feel like the story really does have sort of, the way that I'm working on it does kind of have like religious undertones and like the sins of the church type thing, which is weird for me because I'm not a religious person. I was not raised in the church. I don't have any religious trauma personally myself. I have some hangups about religion, just like in an abstract sense. And so I feel kind of weird writing about it, but I don't know. And so that's where I'm kind of at right now. And so she kind of goes, she's taken away from her family, because if you are a dark magic user, they're like, hey, we're gonna have to fix you. Obviously, we're gonna have to take you somewhere where you can get rid of your moral like problems. Like we're basically gonna go and cleanse your soul and turn you into a light magic user. So she gets taken away to like this facility type thing where they're going to teach her and change her morals, I guess, to where she can be like a light magic user. And that's like the premise. And so when she gets there, she meets like her friends and they have an adventure. It's actually kind of sad and actually a little bit violent. I don't know why. I don't know. This, like I said, the story's gone through like 4 or 5 iterations, and for a while it was just like pretty simple, and I felt like kind of cheesy and generic, and I still feel like it is kind of cheesy and generic, but it also came up with like themes, really weird themes of like religious trauma now, and like it's not obviously 100% based on religion, but it's like it gets like the echoes, maybe it's like similar beats, I guess, if that makes sense to you guys. But basically throughout the story is just Eli, she just continuously gets traumatized by just her whole situation. Like she's in a, like, it's like a home style setting, so it's like her and a bunch of other kids who are deemed wrong by society, and they have to go through this schooling that's gonna like correct them, I guess, correct in quotes. Obviously there's nothing wrong with them, that's revealed later. I mean, I think that anybody would be like, hey, I'm just because you are a certain way doesn't mean you're inherently bad, you know. But that's obvious. And so yeah, I don't know, I feel weird talking about the story because it has lived in my head for so long and it's not super concrete, and every time I talk about it I'm like, do I sound like a fucking idiot? Every time I bring this up I'm like, this doesn't make any sense, and it's really hard to make it make sense because every time I write an outline for it I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. And so right now the story is sort of kind of based on themes right now in my mind. And so there's like a very big theme of death and like I said, like morals, I guess, if that makes sense. Not like moral superiority and like people who think they're better than you because, you know, they like buy into things like the church and shit. And then it's like you can go to church every day, but it doesn't make you a good person, that sort of thing. And then there's the themes of like loyalty. After her brother dies, she's like loyal to her family, and when she gets to this new place she's like, I'm not worried about anybody else here, I'm only worried about my family. But she makes friends there and she's like, fuck, bad things are gonna happen to these guys, so I have to step up and do that. And so like responsibility is like a theme there. Knowing who you can trust is a pretty big theme there. So yeah, I'm just trying to go off themes because for a long time I never really built stories with themes. I just sort of wrote what came to my mind, and I didn't really think about what was like the bigger picture I was trying to paint. I'm trying to do that now, but I'm just struggling with the idea that maybe this is not really my story to tell. Obviously, I'm like, I don't have religious trauma. I don't feel like I have been persecuted for being the type of person that I am based on, you know, anything. I mean, I am a girl, and so there's a little bit of, you know, what's it called? Persecution there, I guess. And I guess I am a mixed race person, but I mean, I'm white passing, so if that's not really too much discrimination. I mean, obviously it's gonna be like subtle type things, and like microaggressions, but yeah, I feel like but that's like bad because like, oh, you're not oppressed enough, like you have to be oppressed to write certain stories, and it's like, oh, I don't know if I want to get into that sort of thing, like idea, you know. And so I always feel weird when I talk about this story because it kind of feels like, I don't know, a story about oppression, and it definitely is. And I'm just like, I don't know if I'm qualified to talk about that. But it's like, I have eyes, I see what oppression is, but it's like, can you write about something that you don't know? I was like, I know it to like a certain extent, obviously, but like, I don't know. It's like I said, I don't know, I feel weird about it. Like, I do really like the story and I really like the ideas and like the direction I feel like I wanted to go in, but just doesn't feel like it should be something that I should be saying. But I think that maybe that's just something I have to get over. And that's why I think that's also partially why it's just living in my head for so long, because I'm like, I come up with the themes and I'm like, these are good themes and I feel like this would make a good story, but it's like, I don't know if it's really mine. You know. And so I'm trying to get over that. I don't know, maybe I should Maybe I should write it and then I give it to someone and they'll be like, yeah, you shouldn't write this. This is not for you. Maybe I'll do that. I'll just get over it and write it first, and then I'll send it to like beta readers and they'll be like, hey, yeah, no, this is not for you, buddy. And I feel like that would be better. Anyway, I talked about this vaguely. I wanted to talk about the character more, but honestly, I really don't have much to say about her because, like I said, her whole personality right now is that her brother is dead. And she's like a loyal friend or whatever, but she very much lives in the abstract in my mind. And so I just rambled a little bit about the abstracts and like the vagueness of the story. But that's pretty much all I have to say about it. I'm just coloring it in now. Thank you guys for spending this time with me. I'll see you in the next video. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. Bye.